right, welcome to the Queer Economy, where we celebrate LGBTQ plus people around the world as they impact business, culture, community, and more. Today, I'm so excited to talk with Brett and Mark, married Vegas performers who tackled the Amazing Race together on the most recent season, season 37. So, Brett and Mark, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. It's super cool to talk to you, and we love the concept of this podcast, so we're really excited.
Yes, thanks for having us.
I'm so excited to chat with you. So throughout the show, we're going to dive into Brett and Mark's stories individually, their stories together, and at the end, we're going to touch on their time on The Amazing Race. So before we get to all the crazy things of the most recent parts of your life, I'd love to hear a little bit of each of your upbringings and what growing up was like for each of you.
I grew up in the Bay Area. I grew up going to the beach all the time, whether it was cold or not. I started gymnastics after I got hit by a car.
Wait, before you keep going, you gotta tell us.
That's like
I don't know
where to start.
You just gloss over it.
How is that connected? Well, I gotta know.
Okay, so I was on my rollerblades, and my brother and I were going across the street, and as I was like little, I was like 6, 7, and a car came around the corner and hit me, and I broke my femur. And to get back into rehab and stuff, I swam, I did gymnastics for like stretching and building strength and all that jazz, and I just loved doing it. I loved being on a balance beam.
Hey, what little gay doesn't love the gymnastics?
Yeah,
I don't know. If you ask them what they're watching at the Olympics, they're watching gymnastics.
Of course, that was definitely one of the first signs. So I definitely took to it, and then we put me in gymnastics, and I did it for like about 10 years. It was awesome. I wasn't the best gymnast, so doing what I do now is pretty amazing for me in my head, because I'm like, I never thought I would do this. So I did gymnastics all throughout high school. I went to college, and I didn't compete, but I was coaching gymnastics, and I was also training. I was a chemistry major and a drama major. Okay. So I did like a bunch of weird things in college, as you're supposed to do. And yeah, I actually came out towards the end of my freshman year. So I guess kind of quickly after being in college. And at the end of my college career, I basically was like, I don't want to sit in a lab for the rest of my life. So I ended up auditioning for a show in Hong Kong with Disney, and I got it. And I graduated, and I left a week later, and I've been performing ever since. So it's been kind of like a runaway with the circus kind of story. I love performing. I love getting to do this every day. I guess a pause on that story, because that's kind of where he'll come in.
Before we hear from Mark, I gotta know, Brett. So if you didn't get hit by a car, how do you think that would have been different? Or do you think you still would have ended up in this area?
Good question. I never thought about that. I don't know, but I auditioned for shows like when I was really little, and I was like super shy and super nervous. I think at some level I would have performed, I think. Because if I wasn't doing gymnastics, I think I would need some other...
Don't let him fool you. He's like lip syncing and prancing around the house and dancing. He's a performer. So he was absolutely doing some sort of performing, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I grew up in San Diego. I had an interesting, I feel like, journey with identity growing up gay, but I'm also an identical twin. So I feel like we did everything together. We had the same friends. Went to the same school. We did everything. You know, finding your own identity when you're like attached to someone 24/7. But then also like coming to terms with that hidden part of you as being gay. You know, I'm very mixed. And so my family is all over the place culturally, like white, Hispanic, not a lot of Black people in my immediate family. So I feel like there's a lot of like identity tumultuous journey growing up. And it still sprinkles into today. But I was always interested in performing growing up. For sure. Like, we watched all the award shows, obsessed with pop culture, obsessed with music videos. I don't know if you remember these magazines called Bop and BB, and they have pictures of NSYNC, like full-page pictures you could like rip out and like would decorate bedroom wall. It was very gay, very gay. So in high school, I did show choir and theater and dance. I can't really sing, but I did it anyways because I love singing. And then in college, I didn't know where I wanted to go, but I knew that UC Irvine had these crazy dance teams. They had these competitions, and I knew that I liked dancing. And I knew that we would go watch artists like Britney Spears and then watch the backup dancers. In college, a lot of people we knew went to this audition for an agency, and we went. And then they went to audition for a job. It was before my senior year, and like I booked it, and I was like, people are making money doing what I do for free every night of the week. And You know, I didn't grow up in conventions or competitions, or I knew nothing. I knew nothing, nothing. Like, to the point, even on my first job, we were out with Darrell Bullock and Kevin State, and they're like two of the original Madonna Vogue dancers. And they were like, "Oh, you should Vogue," and I didn't know what they were talking about, and that was a huge missed opportunity. I didn't know what they were talking about, nor who they were in relation to that. But what I did know was that after college, I was like, maybe I'll do event planning or something. I was like, no, let's just go try dancing. I was really grateful for my family support because my dad was like, you could always do that later, but you can only dance or perform now. So they were like, just go do it. I did it, and I didn't book anything for years again. You know, it was a rude awakening, but that kind of what took me into professional dancing, and it's been a wild ride since.
It's so fun to hear the similarities of being a gay kid that likes to perform. In seventh grade, my mom's like, you have to do something. And she forced me to sign up for theater. And then I did it all junior high and high school because it's so fun.
Yes.
But when I was in like the ninth grade audition choir, the choir teacher, the first day, she's like, you are the best singers in this school. And I have specifically gathered and chosen everyone in here for many reasons. The majority of you are incredibly talented, and some of you are here for your personality. And she looked right at me. I'm like, that's me. I got a
That's
personality. Okay.
That's so funny
Okay,
because in my show choir, I was dance captain, but I definitely was not singing all the time. I feel like queer kids are drawn towards theater because I remember being in school, everything is the same. Everything is the same everywhere. And in theater, you're allowed to explore expressions. And like, you're going to be judged because you're in theater, but you're not being judged because you're exploring your expression. You're just a theater nerd.
Yeah.
So it's like a nice little safe space
Yeah.
to explore.
That kind of takes us to college and the early days of your careers. So go
Yeah.
ahead and paint the picture from that point, and you can tag team this however you want. From that
Yes.
point to dating each other.
Fun fact, we both went to the same college,
But we
Easy.
never met.
but we didn't meet.
We didn't meet. We have traced it back, and we have been in the same place many a time, and we have almost met many times, and we did not.
Yes.
So
They would practice in the parking structure that I parked at all the time. So at 2 a.m., I'd always be seeing these people dancing, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, wow, wow, wow. And just go to my car and never see anybody. And then it was your senior year.
my senior
Your
year.
They have a big dance competition every year at UCI. I was there with my friends, and I saw his team win.
We won.
So
I mean, it was a big deal for us. It's a
It's
big
huge.
deal. It's called Vibe. A long time ago, it was like one of the biggest competitions, and we won
I
on
remember
home
their
turf.
gold set. I remember.
I got to be director that year, so it was great. It was a great memory, and we were both there.
Then I whisked away to Hong Kong. It was fairly easy to come out to my parents. I have a really funny story. My mom found out first, and she was so cute. She was like, if you have something to tell me, just tell me. And it was like such a cute moment. I knew my dad would be supportive. I eventually told him, and they're wonderful, and they really supported. Like, my dad got to meet Mark, and like, he was like, it was so wonderful. As I was coming out in college, like, I met more gay people, more queer people. It was just like, we were all kind of, you kind of explore in that world. And like, we're near LA, so we'd go to LA to meet more gay people. And like, it just kind of brought in our perspective of what the LGBT community is starting to look like. I also, one of my first times doing AIDS Lifecycle was around that time too. So I got to not only be a part of the community as I'm like learning about it, I got to like help and volunteer for a great cause and be around even a vastly different group of people of all ages, of all like backgrounds. And so kind of my world kind of like really expanded pretty fast after that first year.
I also came out in college because I have a twin and he was gay. He told my family first, and then they called. They were like, do you have something to tell us? And I was like, yeah, I'll be right down. So I went down to San Diego and I told them. And I feel like they struggled with it at first, but they were really, really good about being super supportive no matter what. Even through their like time struggling to figure it out, they were super supportive, and they kept that like journey kind of to themselves almost, and like just kind of like worked on it, and which was great. And now we're all super close. Like me and Brett and my grandma and my mom go on trips together. It's always been good, but I do think it was a transition. So I feel like after college, I moved to LA with some of my best friends and my brother, and just started auditioning. I always wanted to be a backup dancer. And so my first gig with an artist was Katy Perry at the American Music Awards. It was fireworks. It was a dream come true. After that, I just remember I would hear songs on the radio and I'd be like, I'm going to dance for them. I'm going to do it. for no reason. I have no right. I have no connection. I have no training. But I just said I was going to do it. The delusion's real. And I just watched other dancers and I was like, what are they doing? What are they doing? And I got to dance with Kesha for a long time, which was amazing. Brandy and Danity Kane. And I did a bunch of other stuff. I got to be in Glee for a little while. There was a Britney Spears audition and I was like, I'm not going to book Britney Spears. Like, why would I even go? There's going to be 700 people there. But my twin was a Britney Spears fanatic and he was like, we have to go. And I was like, fine, let's go. And we went and then we did book it, which was a huge deal.
Yeah.
However, I can definitely say that like during that whole time, I did a lot of amazing things, a lot of artists and television shows and stuff like that. And I don't know that I had like a full grip of like who I was as a person. So it was like also a very stressful time. Because I feel like back then there was this very big push with dancers of like very important emphasis on masculinity. And I feel like I spent more time trying to fit that mold than trying to get in tune with like what felt like the most authentic version of me. Really nice to see an expansion in the dance industry and the backup dancers and the portrayals. Just the levels of expressions that are invited onto stage and television screens and movies. I look at it and there's definitely a longing of being older and wishing it was like that when I was younger.
Yeah.
However, I do remember there was one choreographer, Karan Lynn at Millennium. And I remember I went and I took his class and it was like a jazz funk class. And I remember feeling alive because I felt like, oh, this movement feels better in my body than anything I ever get to do.
So at this time for both of you, you're performing while also figuring out your identity. You're performing to be a performer, but there's also an element I think with a lot of queer kids and people in their journeys where you're performing in life as well. So how did you find the balance then and now of, yeah, I'm a performer on stage, but also learning to not have to perform in your day-to-day life?
I think we're still learning that lesson, honestly. You know, when you're younger, you kind of feel like you're learning things, and then there's like a moment where you're like, yeah, I got it, I'm this person. And then as you just experience more, you're like, oh, I don't know anything. I'm still so in the dark about who I am. And I think like the more experiences and the more people you meet and the more moments you have to force yourself to be vulnerable and to be uncomfortable and to explore the place that you're just ignoring, that brings out more in you. I wish that I could have been more open with my parents. They're very, very supportive. And I started to, towards the end of like, when my dad passed away, like opening up about sharing the gayer side of me. Not that he wouldn't accept, but just that like, you know, you kind of hold that space for yourself and you're not quite sure really what it all means. So you're kind of just holding that as like, because I'm not sure. And I wish I just started to like explore more of that more openly because, you know, you never know what kind of things like his grandma has to offer. Like she's so funny. I'm talking about identity with her and like what she thought when she was younger, what that could have meant. And so like you never really know. Even now today, like on the AIDS ride last week, like I love coming in and use my muscle and then be as femme after. I don't know. I just love the balance of masculinity and femininity, and that's only really blossomed in the last like 5 years or so. Tying it back to like performing in life, I wish that I would drop that a little bit sooner with people who I'm really comfortable with, because like they could just let them see more of you, and that just frees more space within you. So if you have to smile and put that on, even if you're hurting or you're whatever, like you just know how to turn it on. But it's like the lesson really is how to turn it off.
Yeah, I 100%
and they'll still love you even if you're not performing.
Yeah.
They still will.
I think there's a long time where like you don't even realize you're performing off stage.
Yeah.
You don't even realize that you have put together this version of yourself that people respond well to, that you're accepted for, that people like. And I feel like even, you know, coming to terms with being gay or queer, sometimes you also put together another version that fits that. Sometimes it'd be like, why am I being mean and catty right now? Just because everybody else is? Is that fun for me? Does that speak to me? Does that make me feel the way I want to feel? I definitely feel like we're still on that journey. We always discuss like what would have been the version of ourselves we would have put together had we had the freedom to explore that, you know, while being younger.
Courage to explore it. I feel like there are people in high school that were living the truth at the moment for them. I was trying to them, you know, I just, you know, I never really like thought that in myself. So it's just interesting to like, it were out there. It just took so much bravery and courage.
So much bravery and courage, and they were treated so poorly. Yeah. You know, I remember even one of my first shows here was Magic Mike in Vegas for a long time. And I remember I was just tired. I was really tired of putting on the mask at work all night. And it's a great show and has nothing to do with the show, but it's just exhausting when you're also like masking all day. All that to say, eventually you get tired enough that you start surrounding yourself to not care old enough and start to surround yourself with people that you don't have to mask around. I think that's what's so important about community, because when you start surrounding yourself with people you don't have to put on a show for, you start to get to know that version of yourself that you don't have to put a show on for. And then the more you get to know that version of yourself, the more you know where you want to be, because you can see where you're putting on a show and where you're not putting on a show. And so I think being a performer and being queer is hard because you get really good at it. You get very, 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 very good at it. And
also very exhausting.
It's very exhausting. And sometimes it's easier. But it doesn't feel good. It's pretty empty, to be honest. I think that's what we're talking about, right?
That was that was perfect. That was powerful. There's so much to continue to unpack with that, and we could spend hours, I think, dissecting it. I do want to point out it's powerful to think about the younger kids right now being able to find their identity and express themselves at a younger age. I think it's easy to have a sense of, I wish I had that. But then at the same time, I think it's important to recognize how far we've come. You know, you look at the people who are 1, 2, 3 generations older than us, and they're looking at us right now at this age saying, I wish I could have been at that phase at that point. So I think it's exciting to celebrate how far we've come for the emerging generation, but then also to appreciate and honor those that came before us and how, in whatever way they did, paved the way for us.
Glad you said that, because I feel like two things. One, I love this podcast called Making Gay History, and it's oral history. It sits down with like people of so many different generations, and it's very specific small stories. And it makes me very grateful because it's people who like wrote letters and never got an opportunity to experience a queer life. But then also that's another reason why I love being a part of AIDS Lifecycle. It's something that we volunteered for many times, and you get to be with different queer people of different generations and hear their stories. And you know, you do realize how lucky we are that like even we could be on a show like The Amazing Race together and they don't edit out us kissing or supporting or hugging each other. Also, we're reading this book, Queer, Black, and Untold, and it's talking about like there are times before those times in other countries where like queer people were more free and they had like queer publications. And you know, so like it's just an interesting ebb and flow of humanity, I guess, over time.
Yeah. It's crazy that as a queer person, you, based on the current political climate or the current whatever climate, we start to like re-gauge, do I need to perform more? Do I need to show up differently? Can I hold hands in the grocery store? And I think that's one thing, as I've like conversations like that with people who are close to me who are straight, that they've realized, oh, I don't even have to think about those things when I go out in public or when I interact with people, and just the different level of worry that sometimes comes with it.
I do, and because we can't talk about this forever, but I do remember like specifically one night at Magic Mike, one of the performers was like, and in a very genuine way, was like, why do you guys have to have a gay club or a gay parade or a gay event or a gay? And I was like, well, babe, when we go to XS or Dre's, like we have to wear these heteronormative button-up outfits and watch girls go. When we go to see a movie together, it's your reflection of straight people being in love and heteronormative families. When we're listening to music while we're shopping in the mall, it's hetero people singing about heteronormative relationships. You don't realize how the world is built for you, and we never get to see ourselves in it. So yes, we do need to go create places for us to see ourselves.
It's powerful. Okay, before I keep going down that route, let's pivot to where you left off, how you met each other, your dating story.
Okay. I met his brother, was leaving. I was coming back to the States. I was trying to move to LA. So I stayed with his brother in his apartment in LA while one of our other friends also visiting, while I was looking for a job in apartments. And we all wanted to go out one night to West Hollywood, and Mark showed up.
Yeah, I walked in the door and we kind of locked eyes. And the truth is, 100% we locked eyes. I was like, oh, I'm going to marry him. And I went to the bathroom and I looked in the mirror and I was like, Mark, don't be crazy. Like, you don't know this person. So then, you know, we danced and got to know each other that night. And then I was like, yeah, we should like date and move in. It's like, what are you talking about? We should like definitely take it slow. And I was like, that's not how it works. And he was like, that's definitely how it works. And definitely cut to like us dating and like at our friend's wedding. And we were like drinking and we were like on the corner. And he was like, we're not moving in together. And I was like, I don't understand. I don't get it.
Which I mean, with the irony there is that like 6 months, whatever.
Yeah.
After that, like we had to move apartments. My best friend and I had to move apartments, and we had this like 2 month gap where we were looking, and I stayed with him. So it was like
I got what I wanted.
Yeah, you got
I got what I wanted. But I feel like also what was a really big draw for me for our relationship was on our first date, we went hiking and we both said to each other, one thing that's really important to us is that we want to be able to express the desire to try anything we want without judgment, because we are both still exploring who we are and what we want out of life. And so we were like, we really need space to be able to do that if we're going to date somebody or be in a relationship with someone, because, you know, life is too short and there's a lot of things we want to try. And we both agreed that was important. And I think it really kind of laid a foundation for us to be like, okay, like, well, if I decide that I like this or I want to try this, then you're not gonna like define me by it, but you're gonna support me and like let me see what it's like.
And that set up like our foundation for the rest of our relationship. And then basically we like dated for a little bit, and then I got a job in Vegas. And I was like, well, I'm going to go. And because Yusuf had stuff going on in LA, and I was like, you can do your thing here, and then whenever you're ready, you can come out here if you want. And he was like, no.
I didn't want to do long distance. I was very invested in this relationship. So I was like, well, now I'm going to go with you. So we moved to Vegas, and we've been here for 10 years. We've had one dog and one cat pass. We still have a dog and 2 cats. We've gone through a lot of life here in Vegas.
We even got to perform in the same show for a little bit. So that was really fun.
I think here in Vegas is when we started to kind of explore more of like who we are, and what queer means to us, what gay means to us, what matters to us. As far as like queer connection. I honestly didn't have really any gay friends until we moved to Vegas.
Yeah, very little. I mean, very little. And I guess living in LA, you kind of like have a plethora of people to choose from, or at any given moment you can be out and find people. In Vegas, it's a little harder to do that. We had like one friend come over for Halloween one year, and then we just knew that we wanted to build more of a community. And now that we have like friends in, you know, different areas of life, and it feels much more like home because we have this community of queer people. And at first they're like, oh, there's a lot of like gay men, and they're like, where's all our other people? Like, where's our like our trans friends? Or where's our like lesbian, where's the pansexual? Where's all the other people?
Yeah, there's just such a big umbrella of queer people.
Yeah, and so we've kind of really cultivated that.
Yeah,
and it's been so wonderful. The other people that we've like just come in and brought into our family and stuff, and it's been it feels so nice to have that.
There's something beautiful about building community, and it's kind of scary, but the more you take the time and you really reach out your hand first, a lot of times you'll see that people are looking for the same thing. So
strongly believe that like everybody is looking for somewhere where they belong. I think that our current style of living in like these little boxes in these neighborhoods, and we barely see each other going in and out to work, I just don't think that's how humans are meant to live. At the end of the day, like that's why I like AIDS Lifecycle. You're fucking tired every day, but you go back to camp and you get to eat with like hundreds of other people, thousands even, and share and commune about the day. And then it's just beautiful. And I think we're missing it in a day-to-day life for sure.
Going off of that, I'd love to hear a little bit more about your experience with AIDS Lifecycle. I know you've touched on it a little bit, but I want to hear about what it is, how your experience was, all the things.
Yeah. AIDS Lifecycle has been around for 31 years. My Uncle Rick, was a part of it at the beginning of it. He got my aunt into it, which got my mom and my other aunt, and then me, and then all of him.
And Uncle Rick, also known as Ginger Brulee.
Basically, it's a bicycle ride from San Francisco to LA. It's about 545 miles. Bicyclists, they bike all the way down. It's like about 7 days worth. And it raises money for the San Francisco AIDS Foundation and the LGBT Center in Los Angeles.
And it was founded at a time where they were needing money to fund the research of something that the government wasn't really stepping up to do. And they wanted to make it kind of a big spectacle and something that also people could see that like people with HIV and AIDS were doing this ride. They could do something, And then along the way, this route is not just a bike ride. It's like they have created so many special pockets of community and moments and days to express yourselves and relate to each other and laugh and live and be in this space where you get to just live without judgment. Now, there are people who drive by and there's moments, but overall, it is just a special, special space that they created, not only to help the funding of HIV and AIDS, but also like the community they created over those 3 decades.
And the awareness. I mean, there's thousands of bikers riding down the coast of California, and like they hit some very tiny towns that they've done wonderful things with for charity. Like in Bradley, they have like a barbecue or hamburger barbecue thing that raises money for the school, and they raised like over $100,000 for it this past year.
Was it 100,000? I thought it was like, maybe it was $120,000 in a day.
In one day, one lunch period, they raised that from the writers. On top of the money that the writers raised for other things, just like you come down the coast and you hit all these little towns and they come out to, cheer the writers on, and it just kind of created this really wonderful community. We go down along the route a little bit, and then we set up a little rest stop for them that has like some snacks and water, Gatorade, medical, bike stuff, and then we do a theme every day.
We dress up.
And so we like cheer them on.
Everyone's gay, queer.
You gotta have a moment of theme. And we help the bikers, and then we pack it up and we go down to the camp and we do it again for like 7 days.
Over 2,000 riders, almost 1,000 roadies and volunteers. So it's moving 3,000 people down the coast day by day, creating a whole city each night. And it ends with a candlelight vigil led by the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence with the riderless bicycle on the beach.
Honoring all the people that we've lost with through this.
For the HIV and AIDS, everyone, there's this huge candlelight vigil, and it's just unlike anything else. And it's over. They've split it up into 2 different rides for San Francisco and LA. However, it's definitely been life-changing.
It's so beautiful to hear your experience and also how you describe it. And I can't help but think back to Brett, your uncle, and the others who were involved in the beginning. And I'm sure if they're still around to be able to look back and go, look what we built. Look how cool this is. Look at how much it's grown. When the government won't recognize the needs of a group of people, then the group of people can step up and figure it out themselves. It's powerful. That's very powerful.
I think that's a big thing about being queer or gay or a performer, and a big lesson that I feel like we've learned is that you have to kind of create the community, the life, the opportunities, the courage, you have to do it for yourself. Our favorite movies are, no longer Harry Potter, but other movies where like someone comes and saves you and says, oh my gosh, you didn't know you're special. You are special. I'm going to come and take you and you're going to be amazing. But that's just not how real life works. You have to be the person to be like, oh, you're special, and I'm going to create this for myself. And there's going to be a lot of people along the way who are going to remind you or try to remind you that you're not. And that really, really cannot be the determining factor of whether you do it, because that's going to happen regardless.
Yeah. And taking that ownership of this is my life. Where am I taking it? That's cool.
Yes. Agreed.
Yeah.
This is so good. You guys are amazing.
It's great. It's fun to talk about it. I mean, we'll definitely get to the race.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I mean, we can get to the race.
Let's dive into the race. So you were on season 37 of The Amazing Race. Season just finished a couple months ago. And the thing I loved most about watching the two of you on this race is not everyone gets along when they go on The Amazing Race. But the thing about Brett and Mark, among a couple other duos, but you were one, no matter what challenge you had, no matter what went wrong, you were cheering each other on, you were smiling, you were finding moments to laugh. And I just loved that. It brought me a lot of joy to see the representation of a gay couple on there, but also to see life has challenges, but let's make the most of it and let's have fun. So I'd love to hear your experience preparing for the show, being on the show, anything specific you'd like to share around The Amazing Race.
We have talked about The Amazing Race ever since we first got together. Like
on that first hike.
He watched it with his grandma. I watched it with my family. And I was always like, well, I want to do it one day. And it became increasingly clear the longer we were together that I was like, okay, we're the right partners to do it together. So we put together a couple audition tapes, did not send them in. Because I was like, this is just not.
You didn't even send them in.
No, because
like,
one,
I
watched and I was like, I'm not, because I saw the people's auditions tapes and I know who we are and I saw it and I was like, I'm not seeing us and that's not what I want them to see. And then the next one we did, and then we just missed the deadline and I was like, you know what, that's great because I didn't really feel strong about it anyways. And then this one we did, to be honest, they called us in within a few hours of submitting it, which was very, very, very fast. The audition process was strenuous. Like when I'm talking months, I'm talking like, we all joke, if you're on the show, you joke that like getting on The Amazing Race is harder than The Amazing Race.
We were very excited to get it. And we prepared very differently. We basically like ran through almost every episode that we could possibly cram into our brain. I did things like I ran with my backpack heavy full of stuff because I was like, look, I have good cardio, but like I don't run for fun.
And then I was like, I don't need to practice running. And then on the race, they didn't show any of it, but like there is probably hours of footage of me yelling at him, I can't do it, I can't run, my legs, slow down, I can't do it, I can't do it. So he was very proactive about like preparing, and I was definitely like, I get anticipation paralysis is the best way to describe it. Like once I knew it was happening, I was like, well, if life hasn't prepared me, then there's nothing else I can do at this point. But I think being performers has really helped.
We just have to put on so many different hats that like it's really helped us to like shift gears and
learn on the fly. It has to be done, and it has to be done quickly.
Yeah.
And that's just all there is to it. All that to say, this was still the hardest, most stressful, high pressure experience of our entire lives. Nothing can ever prepare you for the stakes of the Amazing Race.
And I what you said earlier about like just seeing us and how we handled all that stress. We've been together for over 10 years. So like we've had a lot of life experiences together, and like we've always been very communicative, and we've always been like trying to be open and have fun in real life. And so like I think when we're in that high pressure situation, we're just kind of like tuned into all the stuff that we've been working on for the past 10 plus years.
I do think this was such an important experience for us that I think during the race, we were both heightenedly aware of making sure that we were trying to show up for the other person as well in that experience. And the stakes were so high. We got eliminated. We spent 3 months apologizing to each other, being like, yeah. No, it was my fault. No, it was my fault. No, it was my fault. Like, we were so guilty of like blaming the other person. It's a once in a lifetime experience. The last thing I want is for you to carry that like it's your fault. And also, we had a lot of bad luck. A lot of bad luck in the beginning of the season. So much so that the night before we won first place, we kind of looked at each other and we were like, how much more can we keep fighting for things to be out of our control and be at the end of the pack? Like, we either need to have fun or we need to do something different.
Yeah.
Because we can't do the whole race like this. And then you see, we started to have a lot more fun. I feel like you got to see a little bit more of who we were because we were having more fun.
After doing that, I feel like we were able to be more ourselves and not worry about like as much about like what like the camera's gonna see or what we're gonna I don't know, just all that beginning pressure. Because also like with 14 teams and a double elimination to start it off, you don't really have time to be like, let's have fun. Like you just don't. Like,
we were also relaxed for the first 5 seconds until they have a double elimination, and we never thought about going on being a gay couple. Like, we never thought of it because we just wanted to go be on. However, afterwards, it was very uplifting and interesting to see, queer people's responses to seeing a gay couple on the show.
We definitely got so much love. I didn't really feel the impact of us being on that because we're amongst other queer gay people. And I think we're special because I love you. But like, and I don't think like we're like anything better than anyone else. And so like we just went in being us, and to have people like really respond to that was like really touching. Speaking of representation, speaking of growing up, we didn't see this when the beginning of the seasons, right, as much. Seeing it now and having people respond, it was like cool. Like, yeah. I'm like just so grateful that like people saw themselves.
And if queer people can resonate or appreciate our journey on the race, I love it too. And if conservative people can also see like our relationship on the race and appreciate something about it, then great. I'm not pandering to anybody except for queer people, so take it or leave it is how I feel. However, like, to be clear, like, we're also definitely not perfect. Like, ask us to choose a floor or something and it's World War III. It's an absolute meltdown. So
take 6 months to
yeah, exactly. So like, you lower the stakes and the conflict will rise.
Yeah.
I had a few different questions and you answered pretty much all of them in that answer, which was perfect. The one question I want to ask, and then we'll go to our rapid fire questions. The way we like to end the show is just some quick, fun, lighthearted questions. But before we get to that, in your audition video, because you posted it on your TikTok, one of the things you talked about is you wanted to go on the show because as performers, sometimes you have different schedules, you don't have a lot of free time with each other, and you've been married for 10 years and you kind of saw it as an opportunity to reconnect and be there for each other and really just have some more quality time that you haven't had because of those schedules. So my question is, how did that go on the show and how has that impacted you after the show?
Well, we spent a lot of time together on the show. Yeah, we spent many years not having the same days off. So going on vacations or spending time or whatever, like it just was a little tricky getting that time to be together. And so being on it, yeah, it was so much fun. I mean, I love this person. He's my person. And so like we've had so much fun over the years. And so it just was it was like a fun reminder that we like having fun together and that we can take these challenges and still laugh and still enjoy it. And I just feel ever grateful for having that time together. And it just also showed us that we really can do whatever we set our minds to. And that's fun moving forward. And who knows where our next chapter is going to take us. And so getting into that scary whatever realm, I know we can handle it.
Yeah, I definitely think that we did get a chance to see each other new lights and doing these challenges and seeing this different skills that we both had and kind of getting to know each other again in a new light. And I think we have carried that on since the race. And I feel like communication has always been good, but I feel like I don't know. Yes. The answer is yes. The answer is we definitely got to reconnect during the race and it's definitely carried on after the race. And this has been a life-changing experience. And I know going into the race, we were like, something has to change. Like our life is good, but something has to change. And I think the race did deliver in that regard. And I think that I don't know what our life is going to look like going forward, but I do know that we really, truly do understand how important it is to us to have that. So thank you to the race.
Yeah.
Thank you to the race because we definitely needed that opportunity. And not like our marriage was falling apart or anything. We had a great life, but we were like, we need... we have a great life that was missing that, and we needed that to come back again.
I think also it was like a dream for so long to do this show, and I think when we finally said yes to like, let's make these. Why are we not making this dream come true? Like we can definitely try, and we got it. And I think that just speaks to like, what's the next dream? What's the next thing we want to try? So the next thing that we can like, let's just make that come true. What are we doing? Waiting.
This is so good. This has been so fun. Okay, are you ready for the rapid fire? These will be quick questions. Both of you can answer. They're fun.
Quick answers.
They're easy, and we'll roll through them. Okay,
I love
first
this.
one, what's your favorite dessert?
Chocolate lava cake.
I love these blood orange mochi balls from Trader Joe's right now, and I hate mochi, so ugh.
Those ones are so good. What's your current favorite TV show?
I can't.
It's so good. So good.
Okay.
Could not relate more. It's a dream come true. They killed it. The whole cast, the writing, Benny, amazing.
It's perfection.
Yep.
Okay, next question. This one's for Brett. How many plants do you have?
I don't know.
I know the answer.
Too many?
The limit does not exist.
The limit does not exist. Yay, that's a good answer. The limit does not exist. I want to make a plant wall up on here.
I'll tell you.
So we're going to do that.
One, I'm counting the ones I can see right now. I got to at least
like
38, and I'm not even around the whole room.
Awesome.
In
So
the house.
And are these all Brett's, or are they both of yours? Mark just likes them.
I enjoyed that.
Take care of them.
He went out of town one time, and I said, "This is fucking ridiculous. Don't ever leave me in charge of this shit again." So
That's how my husband is. He's like, I'm not taking care of them if you go out of town, so figure it out.
Amen. And I
go.
told him, plants, kids, or pets, we can have 2 out of the 3. I can't do more than that.
If you had to go on a 10-day vacation tomorrow morning, you're getting on the plane, you're going on this trip, where are you going and what are you doing?
We're going to Portugal. And it's ironic because that's where we want to go, and that's where we got eliminated right before they went. But we're going to Portugal. We're going to the beach. We're going to find the queer people. We're going to find the gays. We're going to see the culture. We're going to learn. And then we're going to go to Italy and get all the
Oh yeah.
all
We'll do a stopover.
all the treats we didn't get.
You can do it one day.
That's what we're doing.
Portugal and Naples, or somewhere in Italy.
Yeah.
2 more questions. One being, well, okay, this one's a double-parted question. Have either of you seen the show The Traitors?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Having been on reality, because
Absolutely.
the US one only casts reality people, having been on The Amazing Race, are either of you one day hoping to go on The Traitors?
Look, yes, that would be incredible. 100%. We love playing these types of games at home anyways. We're playing Mafia. We're playing the other game that I don't know if I can say the name of. We're playing these games at home anyways.
Yes.
If it has betrayal, lying, gaslighting, secret murdering your friend, we're in it. That's what we do. That's what we like.
Yes.
So if I'm ever in Vegas, we're having a game night.
Yes.
Oh yes, actually, this iPad is sitting on Betrayal at House on the Hill right now.
Awesome. Okay, last question. You're in a tall building on one of the top floors. You're getting on the elevator. The other person in the elevator is your younger self. So you have about a 30-second elevator ride with your younger self. What do you say to him?
I would say that you know. So whatever it is that you feel like you want to do or say or go, just do it. Because on the other side of the fear of not doing it is everything you really, really want to experience, but it's gonna take a long time to get there if you choose by that fear. And I would say find a lot more queer people younger, especially in college, like join the queer groups, go around. And lastly, have fun, because at least up until now, everything's going to pretty much work out, even if it's not going to be easy along the way.
I would, as looking at my younger self, I would just say, like, hang on to your parents a little bit more and let them see you sooner. And that little voice that's in your heart that you are following, keep following it. Keep listening. Don't turn away from it, because that's going to get you where you want to go. That intuition, that little voice that says, oh, I should have this or I should do this. Listen, because that will always lead you in the right direction. And do all the things. Do all the things. Get all the skills. Enjoy everything. Be open and meet everybody. I don't know. Just take the most out of life and see what happens.
Perfect. All right, that's it for today's show. Thank you for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and share with your people. Be sure to follow us on all major social platforms at The Queer Economy. Until next time, be kind, be bold, be you.